to facilitate artists and artisans to achieve their goals and training, hopefully within an economic climate. But these are old buildings that never had heating. The heating that they originally had, going back to 1904, were huge boilers in a sort of a static central location. Well, they would be static, but a central location that would heat these huge sort of like 60 mil cast iron pipes that ran through the ceiling areas of all the buildings. That cost an absolute fortune to heat. They weren't zoned properly. Just an amazing, unnecessary amount of metalwork, and yeah, basically. So eventually we got rid of them, and we installed conventional central heating on each floor. So we'd have a boiler, a 32 kilowatt boiler that would pump around, maybe depending on how many rooms were on each floor, could be anything between 6 to 10 rooms of approximately 250 to 300 square foot, 3 meter ceiling heights. And they again weren't zoned. It was difficult. They weren't electronically controlled in any way. Some people wanted them on, some people wanted them off. And if you start playing around with radiators and turning the wrong valves and so forth, you can mess the whole system up. So somebody will have a boiling hot radiator and somebody's will never get hot. So we said, well, we're not going to do that anymore. We've been, reasonably happy with that. They're easy just to plug on, plug in, plug on the wall and plug into the electric, and they controllable thermostatically, timing, absolutely. I mean, once they're in, they're in. You don't have to have, and if there is a problem with them, obviously, we haven't had any problems, but if there were, presumably you, under the warranty that you offer, you come along, worst case scenario, you just give us a new one, take that one back and fix it, and we wouldn't have to have plumbers and electricians, rolling around all over the place, which would often the case when we've got radiators that need bleeding, leaks, pipes, and so forth. So yeah, it's moving forward. They don't take up a lot of space, so the old night storage heaters that people talk about are not a problem. I didn't hear about trust initially, but all of a sudden, somehow, trust heating came up somewhere on the radar. I can't quite remember how or where. We discovered you, and we started to use you, and I think we've used you on a couple of small projects, and hopefully bigger ones to come. Yeah, well, I sent you plans, I sent you dimensions, and you came back with your calculations. And if I had any doubts about them, I used to balance them out in my own opinion, knowing that I could still always add another one at any time if I felt that there were, you were right, in other words, and I was wrong. So yeah, we always had that option of a correction, because no one's having to rerun pipes or anything like that. Well, as property owners and to some extent small-time developers, we have our own in-house people. So I don't recall any of my staff ever coming back to me and saying the radiator fell off the wall, or I had difficulty putting this screw plug in, So no, I can't imagine anything more simple than screwing a radiator bracket on a wall. Well, I like the style, I like the simplicity, the design, the fact that you can have different colours. Yes, I think I would, because I haven't got any qualms about at the moment. It gives us what we want. It's simple. I think I did compare it to Fisher, I think at one time, and I didn't see there was much difference, and that satisfied me, because I knew that Fisher was, a big company, competitively priced, And I thought, well, if I've got a British company producing the same product, why wouldn't I go with them, you know? And I'm also quite impressed that I can actually physically lift one, which unfortunately with the Sunflow, I couldn't. I clap my hands strongly with any British company that's able to produce a good quality product at a competitive price.